Hi, I'm Will. I founded the Vivian F. Shipley Women's Business Center. Um, Named it after my grandmother. I'm the only one left of my family, so I figured I needed to do something productive. So she was a really neat businesswoman. So I decided to form this nonprofit and maybe get a master's or a PhD out of it. At any rate, so the customers that uh, we would be focusing on would be underprivileged, I guess you could say. These would be people from communities that are exploited by like traditional banks, real estate, investment trusts, those type of uh, unsightly financial devices that extract wealth from working class families. Oftentimes they'll be minorities, and that's who we're going to focus on in training how to form their own organizations with an eye for compliance. So these organizations, whether it be not-for-profit, non-profit, LLCs, or whatever it is that they want to form, they're going to form them with their state's Secretary of State, based on the IRS definitions of whatever organization that they are going to do. Then they will also be trained on risk management, permitting, indemnification for sure. All those little things that new business owners forget about, such as workers' comp. You definitely don't want to forget about that one. And it's expensive. Employees are expensive. But that is going to be the main curriculum, but I'm going to be offering something a little bit more subversive, and that would be a track that would be training these new business owners how to lobby in Sacramento, whether it be for regulatory change or legislative change. And there is also an idea that once they learn how to do that, I would hope that they would feel comfortable enough to be able to run and represent their community themselves. I think that with business owners that are going to be keeping the investments and the funds in their own communities, I think is much healthier than relying on like traditional banks and stuff who is going to take their profits and extract it and move on. So I would be hoping that these new business owners would also be creating their own financial institutions. So that is the value proposition for my clinic. And it is a clinic because if I do a PhD program, you have to do you have to go out in the field, and that's considered the field. So it'd be clinic work. I want to go to UCLA, to the graduate program at Anderson. And because I hate USC, it would be just awesome if I can open up a clinic right in front of, what is it, Marshall Business School is the name of this business school at USC. I think it would be hilarious if they saw a UCLA clinic like right in front of where they park in that bad part of town. But at any rate, so that is my plans for the future. The model of the type of minority and women or person that we would be focusing on would be somebody that is similar, but probably a little more in need of more sophisticated training, I guess, because my Aunt Camellia, who lives in Rancho Dominguez, is the second name of Compton. So she lives in Compton. But she's sophisticated. She has corporate experience she worked with my mom. And my mom worked in risk management in workers' comp. And my mom, with some attorneys and business owners and other senior claims examiners, are the ones that back in the early 2000s were able to lobby and change legislation to bring down the premiums that were just killing the profits of medium and small businesses. So Camellia, who is my aunt, and my mom worked together in a corporate environment in risk management for a long time. So Camellia has a lot of really good corporate skills. These days, she is foster parent to three special needs children. So she has experience in being able to deal with those kinds of challenges. But she is also a single woman, and she has investment properties, so she does pretty well for herself there. With some of her friends, black friends, that a couple of the guys are in sports, and nowadays, athletes want to invest their income, which I think is cool because they didn't used to, and actually, athletes didn't usually invest anything back in the 70s and stuff. So that's cool that they are being trained to do that now. But she wanted to do something that was a program that this one guy on Instagram that had Instagram Reels that wanted his customers or his clients to have LLCs for every aspect of a person's life. So there would be one LLC that was not for profit for whatever reason that he had. Camellia had, there were 6 of them. The only ones that I thought that were a good idea was that she had LLCs for each separate investment property to separate the liability. So if a tenant breaks their leg on one property, they can't go after the other properties as part of the damages. I thought that was a good idea. As far as extracting value on your personal branding as being another separate LLC, that is something that I didn't want to do. So what I did was I wrote a plan on how to create your own LLC and told Camellia to do it herself, that I wasn't going to just create all these LLCs for them to not ever be funded or operate, and just add to the trash of dead LLCs that are floating out there. So that was sort of the seed of a curriculum. So that it was like a 12-step plan on with end result being the corporate ID that you get from the Secretary of State, and of course that would be after you get the employer identification number from the IRS, and then steps in between would be solidifying your entity and getting prepared to hire the first person, because you do not want to let the Franchise Tax Board know that you exist prior to filing your quarterly payroll taxes, because if they find out that you're operating and you haven't started that quarterly payroll, they will come after. They will assess a value based on other companies using that North American whatever that classification is for businesses. So for example, if I was a management consultant and I had 2 clients, they would go, oh, you're a management consultant, so Accenture is making $35 million a year, and so are you. And that's the type of thing that the Franchise Tax Board will do if they find out that you're operating and haven't started reporting to them. So you want to do whatever the Franchise Tax Board wants, but keep them at arm's length. And another interesting thing is the IRS is using the Franchise Tax Board, which is California's tax assessor. They are using them to collect bad debts for people that have federal tax liabilities and debt, which I think is pretty interesting that the IRS is using our agency to collect their deadbeat money. But at any rate, so that type of person, a minority, intelligent, can already probably like be able to run their own business, but with this extra added bonus of legislative experience and skills and an eye for compliance and permitting and getting all those requirements done so that they don't lose their businesses over something that would be an oversight or something that is required, is something that I'm looking forward to. I want these businesses to survive. Their communities depend on it. So that is the type of person that the Vivian F. Shipley Women's Business Center is going to be working with. So I hope you enjoyed that little speech, and I will be working with you guys soon.